Hi, Corine. Thank you very much for your time. A pleasure to talk to you and to catch up as usual.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
ثانك يو. كورين، نعرف بعضنا من كتير زمان وكنا بذات الايكو سيستم. انا من ميلة يمكن وانت من ميلة تاني and two different things. It's great to catch up and host you on this podcast. اذا فيك تخبريني شوي صغيرة عن حالك in any language you want, عربي, French, English, anything you're comfortable with, within 30 seconds. مين كورين؟
So today I am the president of the Lebanese League for Women in Business, a local NGO dedicated for women economic empowerment. And I'm the former CIO, Chief Investment Officer of IM Funding for the past 8 years.
Wow, that's an impressive background. كورين، خبريني صار لك زمان بالليبانيز ايكو سيستم. in a nutshell, how do you see it؟ كيف كانت قبل، كيف صارت هلا؟ شو رأيك؟ بكل صراحة أكيد.
Unfortunately, Lebanon, the ecosystem disappeared. And I came back to Lebanon in 2015, and it was the beginning of the 331 sector. You know, when we say 331, we always refer to an article, to a BDL, article number 331, that allowed the local commercial bank to invest anywhere between 4 to 6% of their capital into early stage businesses, which unleashed from one day to another more than $500 million to be invested in early stage businesses and growth stage businesses in Lebanon. So 2015, 2019, we saw a beautiful ecosystem that really was flourishing. More than $250 million were invested from more than 15 different venture capital firms established in Lebanon. And we saw the creation of 120 companies. It was quite impressive. However, given what happened in 2019, mainly the Thawra, and we have to remember that the majority of those venture capital funds were funded by the commercial banks. All those VCs disappeared along with the incubators and the accelerators that came along. So today we're standing in a very virgin market. So obviously, after the Thawra was the blast, the fuel oil issue in Lebanon, and today whatever we stand today, is at war, are we not at war, etc. So yes, today we have the ecosystem almost disappeared. This is the sad part, but you know, we always give the positivity and we always see the good things and the bad. So we have to say that out of those 15 venture capital firms that used to exist in Lebanon, okay. So out of the 15 venture capital firms, only 2 or 3 remain active. You have IM Capital, which I previously used to work at, that today is the matching fund. It's still alive and receiving entrepreneurs. The ISME, which is a World Bank program. So IM is USAID funded. The World Bank program is as well a matching fund that today is sitting on a pile of cash. And you have the Cedar Oxygen Fund, which is more dedicated to bigger companies, and they're operating more like a bank type of financial institution more than a regular VC. That being said, you know, we're sitting today in an ecosystem that has 2 matching funds, fresh capital. Unfortunately, we still have to use this word. One coming from USAID and another sourcing coming from the World Bank. So, Lebanon, despite everything bad happening today, if you sleep with an angel ticket or an institutional ticket up to $1 million, you can approach those 2 matching funds and get yourself $3 million. So what I mean is you sleep with one, you wake up with 3. Quite interesting.
And I'm curious to know, Corine, لأنه we've seen in the last few years an immigration, a huge immigration, specifically for the brains, if we can say that. What made you stay in Lebanon? You have a great history. You have an amazing background. I'm sure you can relocate relatively easy anywhere else in the world. شو اللي خليك تبقي هون? Sorry if it's a personal question. I'm not.
No, at all. I actually left in Lebanon. I left Lebanon in 20 and actually 20 in 2000, the year 2000, and came back just 7 years ago. So Lebanon, when the blast happened and when the Thawra happened, actually, the easiest way around was for me to pack and to leave the country. And I have two daughters, and they both hold the Canadian passport, and they kept on nagging, especially after the blast. Like, Mom, why are we still here? Why are we still living in Lebanon? You know, you're used to living outside more than living in Lebanon. So how come we're still here? And here you come again asking the same question, Lebanon. So actually, you know, I have to say that I was fortunate enough to be living in an area that wasn't impacted by the blast physically. It was just, you know, the emotional part that hit us. So and here come I answer my daughter Sasha, and I tell her we weren't impacted. If we're not gonna help, who else is gonna do it? And she looked at me, it's like, and are you really going to help the country by sitting and, you know, staying on the couch, especially that you had Corona kicking in at the same time? And, you know, things hit me that way. You know, I had my whole capitalistic mind still on. And, you know, something targeted me and said, you know, how about doing some impact? And we pivoted at IM. So back at the time, I was still the CIO of the company, and we made a beautiful pivot during IM Capital. So we had invested in more than 35 companies, all of them technology, not all of them, 75% maybe technology, and the remainder into local manufacturing. And we were operating like pure capitalistic investors. And here come how can a venture capital really do impact while it's not part of its mandate. But we were fortunate enough to pivot in a clever way, and instead of, you know, going and helping the people that got impacted by the blast, we decided to provide grants to our startup. So, you know, we kept the portfolio company approach as an investment objective. So it was to give, you know, grants to those companies for them to grant their services for free for any person that got impacted by the flood, be it an individual or a company. And here we created the من قلبي دعم لبيروت. It was obviously with the work and the support of the whole team of IM Capital back at the time, long time ago, 2020. Actually, we did the program just 1 month. We started the program just 1 month after the blast, so we went quite fast. And we were able to impact more than 3,000 families and 200 businesses
Wow.
at the time. This is coming from a VC perspective. Lebanon should not come in, I have to say, at all.
Of course.
Another good fortune that, you know, as well took my mind was we had fundraised from USA prior to the blast. We had pitched for more than $40 million as investment for growth stage companies. And we received the money just 2 months after the blast.
Wow.
So I tried, you know, it's the perfect time to try to see, you know, how can we use best this money. So all this made me stay, and I thought, you know, if I'm not going to do it, who else is going to do it? And back at the time, everyone left, and I decided to stay. And you know, I slept that day with, you know, the beautiful news of getting $40 million into account. But as I started this conversation, Lebanon, this is matching money.
Yeah.
We don't. So when I say matching, that means that any entrepreneur approaches IM, we can finance up to 50% of their investment ticket, not the full investment ticket. So when we receive those 40, it's like, who's going to match us? The local venture capital firm had completely winded down, given the thawra and the devaluation of the local currency and the, you know, the dollar creation versus the fresh USD, etc., and the impact of those capital increases as well on the startups, obviously. So and it was very challenging, really. So we celebrated that day, you know, like we're going to get 40 million to deploy in Lebanon in the worst times of crisis, and we're going to make sure that we're going to use it in its best shape. You know, who's gonna match, really? So we pivoted as well. just like any startup. And we went from doing one-on-one deals where we analyze the company and try, approve a 50% investment and help out the entrepreneur in go and finding the remainder 50 into investing into sectors in Lebanon. So it was a very big pivot. So we moved from doing VC one-on-one deals into being a fund management entity, which at the beginning of each year would launch a sector dedicated to a specific fund. Actually, we would launch a fund dedicated to a specific sector because we as investors totally believe, Lebnan, that despite all the hardships that we're living, money does not disappear. It just moves hands. So you need just to find the sector that will flourish despite, whatever negativity is happening at the same period.
Wow, that's an amazing answer, and I think that very few people بيشبهوك Corinne. I don't think a lot of people عملوا هيك, and I think that those very few people are the pillars now to what will come in the future, and we hope that things will be better. I want to move to something a little bit more technical, Corinne, لأنه I'm an entrepreneur. صار لي فترة that I work with entrepreneurs as well. And one of the first questions that every entrepreneur asks, what are VCs looking for? Now, when we Google, we have a lot of answers. So I want to hear your, subjective answer. In my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've met with hundreds, if not thousands, of entrepreneurs that shared the pitch or ideas, etc., etc. What's your filtering process, and what would you like to give an advice for an entrepreneur who's raising fund for the first time?
Let me, give you a little bit of background about, the VC ecosystem, not the local ecosystem, but let's talk a little bit about, venture capital as a whole. And before, arriving on what to advise the entrepreneur and what they should be looking for, today we totally need to acknowledge that the circumstances are different. And when we used to talk about a global VC ecosystem of $300 billion, today shrank to 100 billion. Okay, so number of deals being executed per year shrank as well to more than 50%. So the whole attraction of that sector has a little bit is today stagnant. And if I want to look at the tech giants today, Kamina, the companies are not performing well. You're seeing layoffs across sectors. Whether I want to talk about the Googles of the world, etc. So things are not really flourishing. However, in the AI sector, Lebanon, we saw more than 20 plus unicorns for the past 2 to 3 years. And today, the order of magnitude of the fundraising has changed given AI. So today, AI gives us a lot of things done for free. So what used to look like a $5 million funding raise back, pre-2020, pre-2019, today would look like closer actually to $1 million. Mm-hmm. So really the global VC ecosystem has shrank by more than a third. AI, which used to represent 25%, which used to represent 12%, today represent 25% of the pie. Because of the order of magnitude, we can safely say that, AI or VC investors are finally happy to go back to work because there's something to look for. AI is going to change the face of all the sectors and can be integrated into any company, be it in their product and their services, or their internal policies and procedures, and trying to optimize the workflow of any entity. So right, and the VC ecosystem doesn't look vibrant. However, we can be positive, and investors are looking forward to what's going to happen for the next few years. And I strongly believe, based on the data that you read, that the world is expecting another 10 unicorn for the next year, which is quite appealing in terms of investment and investors. So what advice, that being said, what can we say to the entrepreneurs? I think the first thing is they should develop a strong value proposition and, be different from the others. we always ask what's your secret sauce and what's making you different. And when we ask someone what makes you different, we're expecting something that looks like a 10x. They should be cheaper, they should be faster, they should be stronger, whatever the product look like. This is one. Two, solid team, solid culture, and solid value. This is, I guess, what makes a company or a startup flourish versus another. Back at IM, Lebanon, we used to receive really more than 200 or 250 to 300 entrepreneurs per year.
Mhm.
You can be sure that more than 30% were pitching exactly the same idea. So
Oops.
what really, and all of the, the majority of the entrepreneur won't give you a lot of details. I know they think that that should be, this is a secret, and as everyone will replicate it, and the answer is no. It's all about the team and its execution, and making sure, Lebanon, that we retain and that we motivate this team. And here I'm going to the women economic empowerment hat, and make really and every company think about the diversity that they have on their board and what added value that could bring to the table or and to the product. Simply because we represent 50% of the population. Like if I just want to answer
Yeah.
the easy answer, and any company would like to take over, all the customers of the world, which 50% are women. Therefore,
Yeah,
it would diversity would simply, add. I'm not going to get you into the numbers and the data and discuss IFC and Harvard. We will keep that for a different conversation. So strong value proposition, strong team, show data. Be it from the side of the market size or financial projection. We really need to understand how the story that is portrayed in the business plan is reflected really into reality. So data always. Take partnerships. You can't do it on your own. You always need collaboration. You need to open the network, and opening network is what would make you ready for exit eventually, because it's usually those types of M&A that would realize a good exit eventually. And finally, I guess be prepared always and be patient. It takes a lot of time to fundraise. It takes a lot of time to talk to investors, to make them to sit on your table and go through the details of your pitch. You just need to be patient along the way, I guess.
But I have a small question. So everything you said makes perfect sense. But I have a small question. I meet a lot of solo entrepreneurs, regardless of their gender. A lot are women, a lot are men. And I know that you have a lot of platforms today that match you with other co-founders, et cetera, but most of them don't really pan out because of the synergy and the chemistry. I know when I meet a solo entrepreneur, I do prefer that they have a team or they have co-founders, but I don't really mind. I think that they can do it by themselves anyway. They recruit the right team. What's your take on that?
Yeah, any idea or any company might start with a solo entrepreneur, but down the line, he's going to be forced to he's not going to be forced. So let's talk. Let's go through stages. So you have an idea, you recruit a team, you own, depending on the regulation, but just as to facilitate the example, let's say that you own on your own 100% of the company. You hire a team, and the team starts executing. Where you start to diversify the type of expertise that you need, and then eventually, two senior people resign. What you would do? You run to those people and ask them to stay. You double their salaries, and then eventually, as time goes by, you're going to start giving employees stock option plan.
Yeah, of course.
So even if you start as a solo entrepreneur, no investor will come and approach you before you have a core team. No, actually, no investor will come and invest in you before you have a core team that has the right expertise. And you're going to be forced as an entrepreneur eventually, because of their request, is to give away a part of your company. And what starts by looking the solo entrepreneur would eventually look like a quite diversified entity.
Yeah.
I don't prefer solo entrepreneurs, but if they have the right mind openness and they're coachable enough, those companies can flourish. else, my biggest question is always to those solos. It's like, what would you do if you get hit by a bus? So
Yeah.
I love the idea. Me as an investor, I would love the idea. I'd give an investment ticket of $1 million, and then that guy just, literally gets hit by a bus.
Yeah.
So that's it. Top tier is a basics. We're not doing a financial course one. We're not going to get into the technicalities of what it is, but realistically, that's it. So you might start like a solo entrepreneur eventually, without even noticing this company would be, enough diversified. And if it's not, the investor will come and force it as a reshuffling of the cap table before investing the $1 million one. Just because, what if the big guy gets it by the bus? That's my simple answer.
Perfect. Corine, I took more time than I asked you for. I thank you very, very, very much for your time. It was amazing.
Thank you, Lebnan. A bientôt.
Thank you.